Hi, my name's Frank. I have a beautiful wife, Jane, and a wonderful son, Joel. Jane has always loved porcelain dolls, even though Joe and I have always found them creepy, especially Joe. He wouldn't even stay in a room alone if there were dolls in it. One day we were in town when we walked past an old charity shop. In the window sat two of the biggest and creepiest dolls I have ever seen, seated in a small rocking chair. Jane stopped immediately, drawn to them, and insisted we go inside to check the price. To our surprise, they were unbelievably cheap, practically giving them away. Jane couldn't resist and bought them on the spot. Normally dolls like that would sell for over 100 each. Joel, however, freaked out the moment he saw them, begging us not to bring them home, insisting they were evil and always watching him when he was in the same room. Jane and I brushed it off, assuming he'd get used to them over time. But little did we know, this was just the start of things to come. When we got home, Jane placed the dolls in the corner of the living room. When she sat them down, she accidentally knocked one over. That's when we discovered they had an old-fashioned talking mechanism. The doll let out a distorted giggle and spoke.
You're so funny, Mommy.
But the voice, oh that voice, was all wrong. It wasn't playful or innocent. It was warped, broken, something out of a nightmare. The sound sent a chill down my spine. That night, I couldn't shake the memory of it. It was supposed to be a childlike laugh, but something about it felt off, too deep, too hollow, like someone trying to mimic a child but failing horribly. Joe refused to go anywhere near the living room. He ate dinner in his room, barely touching his food. And when bedtime came, he begged me to lock his door. "They don't like me, Daddy," he whispered, eyes wide with fear. "They watch me when you're not looking." I reassured him as best as I could, though deep down I wasn't sure I believed my own words. Then the real nightmare began. At exactly 3:33 a.m, I woke up to a noise I couldn't immediately place. A soft creak, then another, like the rhythmic motion of a rocking chair. My body tensed as I realised where it was coming from. The living room. Trying not to wake Jane, I slipped out of bed and quietly made my way downstairs. As I reached the bottom step, the air turned icy cold, sending a shiver down my spine. The dim glow from the streetlights outside cast eerie shadows across the room, but my eyes were locked onto one thing: the dolls. They were no longer in their rocking chairs. One was seated on the couch, its porcelain face tilted slightly towards me. The other stood upright near the staircase, as if waiting for me. A slow mechanical giggle filled the silence.
You're so funny, Daddy.
My breath caught in my throat. The voice was different this time, lower, raspier, almost mocking. A shadow moved near the hallway. A heavy silence filled the room as I stood frozen on the stairs, my heart hammering against my ribs. The cold air clung to my skin, and the weight of unseen eyes pressed against me. The doll near the staircase hadn't moved, but I swore I saw something shift in the darkness behind it. A flicker of motion, too quick to fully see. My breath came in shallow gasps. Then the giggling came again. The doll on the couch lurched forward, toppling onto the floor. The moment the porcelain met wood, the entire house seemed to groan, as if something ancient and hungry had just awakened. I needed to move. Now, without thinking, I bolted up the stairs, taking two at a time, my only thought being Joe. I had to make sure he was safe. As I reached the door, I grabbed a handle and turned it. Locked, just as he asked me to. I pounded on the wood. "Joel, open the door!" My voice came out more frantic than I intended. No response. My stomach twisted in knots. I fumbled for my keys, hands shaking, and jammed one into the lock. The moment the door clicked open, I rushed inside, only to find the bed empty. The sheets were rumpled, his blanket tossed aside. The window was still shut. He was gone. A slow, deliberate creak echoed behind me. I turned, dread settling in my bones. There, standing inside the doorway, was the second doll, but it wasn't standing on its own. Joe was holding it. His hands clutched the porcelain figure tightly. His wide, glassy eyes locked onto mine. His lips curled into a small, unnatural smile.
You're so funny, Daddy.
The voice didn't come from the doll this time. It came from Joel. I stumbled backwards, knocking over a chair. "Joel!" my voice cracked. "Buddy, put that down. Come here." He didn't move. His fingers twitched against the doll's dress, and for a split second, I saw it. Something writhing beneath his skin, just under the surface, like a shadow trying to claw its way out. His head tilted, his eyes blank, unfocused.
She likes me now.
Said in the same broken mechanical voice. I shook my head, my mind screaming at me that this wasn't real, that I was dreaming, that any second I'd wake up. The lights flickered. The air in the room grew even colder. The doll's tiny painted lips curled into a grin.
She likes all of us now.
The door slammed shut behind me, and the laughter began. I hope you enjoyed that story about creepy dolls. Let me know if you've had any experiences yourself, and I'll see you next time for more chilling tales.